Sweet me. Oh, there's just something about that name is like nothing I can explain. There's just something about that name. Whoa. First live of the year. The very first one. The very first one. Somehow I feel self-conscious in front of the camera again. Okay. Good morning. Welcome to the live today. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. It has been a while. It has been a minute anyhow. It has been a couple of days. I haven't been on here for I think about 10 days. Yes, 10 days. So it has been um a couple of days. And I'm glad to be here. Um uh see this awkwardness. This awkwardness is me realizing that if you stop doing something for a while, it's kind of is a struggle to start again. So that's basically how I'm feeling this morning. I'm feeling very self-conscious. I'm feeling very I'm in front of the camera. But yeah, it's one of those things. Anyways, today I'm here to talk about change. And I think this topic is more crucial because this is the beginning of the year. It's the point in the year um, where everyone is trying to start off their year like with energy. Everyone is trying to start off their year conscious of the growth that they have to achieve. Everyone is trying to start their year with like, oh, I'm serious this year. No jokes this year. I'm healthier this year. There's a lot of that. There's a huge consciousness of that generally. Everyone wants to be better in the new year. Everyone is planning their own change in the new year. Everyone is planning their own, just their own what's the word now? Just their own life, getting their life together. Everyone is in that headspace at this point of the year because it's the new year. And while that's a great thing, it's very important that we don't lose sight of what real change means or where real change comes from. And that's the topic, that's the focus for today, is that reminder, that consciousness on change in the real sense of it, that consciousness of how change really works, right? It's that consciousness. I am trying to get my what's it called? I'm trying to get my phone open. Yeah, so it's that consciousness of change in the real sense of the word. And it cannot be an abstract. The reason it cannot be it's already an abstract for most people. Next year I'm going to change. There's the very popular New Year, New Me. There's um New Year resolutions. There's that practice. I mean, I think I used to have that practice where I would write like a bazillion things on a list and be like, in the new year, I'm going to achieve this. In the new year, I'm going to do this. In the new year, I'm going to do this and this and this and this. I had no idea I was going to do those things, but there was a place where in my mind I just thought, in the new year, this is who I'm going to be. Like, and there was no grounding, no basis for it, but I just knew I wanted to change. So this today, where where what's the word? We're going to focus intentionally on change and how it happens. We're going to focus on how change even starts in the first place. That is today's topic of discussion. Um, yeah. So there is also and today I'm gonna be usually I don't even like base the entire life on a scripture, but today I'm gonna be basing it on a scripture because this scripture was there like in my head the whole time I was thinking about this topic. And it's from Second Corinthians, chapter 3, verse 18. So that's a popular verse that we know. Second Corinthians, blah, blah, blah. Like I said, when you leave the camera for a bit and come back, I was like, when I started setting up earlier, like about 30 minutes ago, when I started preparing to shoot the live this morning, I was like, why do I feel so weird about this? uh, um, Anyways, so yeah, that's the topic this morning. How does change happen? How does change happen for us naturally? How does change? How do we put ourselves? How do we put our headspace in a place where change is the focus, right? And this scripture reference that I'm gonna use today is Second Corinthians 3:18. As I said, I'm just gonna read it out. I already spoke about it one time before in this channel, but since we're focusing on the concept of change, especially in the new year, I'm just going to really dig in. Um, and I'm going to read the uh, the NLT version. And it says, so all of us who have had that veil removed can see and reflect the glory of the Lord. And the Lord, who is the Spirit, makes us more and more like Him as we are changed into His glorious image. This is the scripture reference, right? And something that strikes me, something that is so beautiful to me about uh this scripture is that it is very direct. It is very direct. It doesn't mince words. There's no speculation as to what's being said here. There's no speculation as to what the scripture means. There's a direct reading of what it means, right? So it's that we are changed when we look at God. That's the basic, that's the basic inference that you can make from this. The basic inference, the first inference, the initial translation is that change comes from beholding God. And so uh, what's the word? I'm excited. But yeah. So what can happen or what will happen when you find yourself looking at God is you gradually become like Him. And how this translates to me is change will start from looking at the right thing. Change will start from focusing on the right thing. Change will start from looking at the right place. So the question then becomes, what are you looking at, right? If we're going to look at change, it says, and this scripture was referencing seeing the glory of God, witnessing the glory of God. It was referencing, it was telling us, reminding us that the veil has been torn, and we can see the glory in real time. So it's that if your eyes are on God, you will see His glory. You will change. You'll find yourself naturally changing, right? And so the oftentimes is that people especially because it's the beginning of the year. Especially because it's the beginning of the year. People want to, what's the word? People want to change. People have plans. People have resolutions. People have goals. People have, ah, people have everything that they want, that they desire, right? But there is a goal, there is an image, there is a place that you want to get to. And that place can only be found when you stay and look at the right thing. So every year is that people are making lists. Every year there is a thing that you want to achieve. Every year there is a change that you want to make. In my experience, every year people want to lose weight, for instance. So if you want to change, the question is, what are you looking at? What's the final image? What's the reference image? Something that I've learned over time, and I've heard a lot of people talk about, leaders, preachers, teachers, everybody really talk about, is that when you want to achieve something, it's ideal to place an image of it somewhere where you can see it regularly. And when you see it regularly, you are naturally moved towards that thing. Sorry about the background noise. It's no longer the holidays, and so there's a lot of early morning noise in my environment. Yeah, so it's that when you want to achieve something, you place an image or a reference of that thing that you can look at regularly. And what happens when you look at that thing is, the more you look at it, the more you are drawn towards it. So that applies in everything. It applies to everything. Every time that I've tried it, oh, I want to change jobs, and then I write it somewhere. This is my ideal job. I read that every day. I get that job. Of course, like I testified, I don't know, maybe last month, 5, 6 weeks ago, I don't know. But I think I mentioned it. Is that I don't usually even have to look for jobs. I get referred. Someone mentions something. So everything that will happen will start from you and how much you've set your sights on that thing. That's the point I'm trying to make. So if change is something you want to achieve, it starts from where your focus is initially. In the initial, what are you looking at? What's your focus? Which is why I really love the reference scripture for today, which is that scripture about beholding. Because it says when we look at him, we are changed into his image. So that's, you become more like God by looking at God, right? So if looking can birth the becoming, and there's another reference, right? I like Bible stories a lot because it's just the best place, really. There's a story of Jacob. Like, it's a popular story, and this is when he wanted to leave his father-in-law at the time, Laban, and the man was like, "Look, I ain't got no money to give you. I'm not going to give you anything." And Jacob is like, "Okay, all right." And the man is like, "He's going to play a fast one." So he tells Jacob, "You know what? If you look and you see any spotted calf, any spotted animals, those you can take." Scripture says that Jacob put something in front of them, and those who were looking at it were birthing spotted calf. So change starts from beholding. Change starts from what you see. Change starts from what you're looking at. I wanna see if I can find that scripture real quick. I did not prepare it, it just came to mind, but let me see if I can find that scripture real quick. Um Spotted calf, I think. It's somewhere in Genesis, right? Somewhere in Genesis. So, you know Laban was deceitful. He was he was in a class of his own with the deceit. So it says that what Jacob did was he painted stripes on sticks. He painted stripes on sticks. This is in Genesis 30. I'm just gonna read it real quick. Right. Genesis 30, 37. So um Jacob took, let me just do straight down to, yeah. So for context, right? Jacob already went through the whole thing with marrying the wrong wife first and getting Rachel. He's married Rachel now. Rachel has a kid now. And then Jacob goes to Laban and he says, Laban is Rachel's father. He says, send me on my way. I want to go back to my home. Let me go with my wives and my children. I served you 14 years for this woman. Let me go. Right? You know how much work I've done for you. And this guy is like, well, I don't want you to go. I want you to stay. Right? I know that the reason I'm so blessed is because you're here. I don't want to lose that. And Jacob is like, I've done a lot. Like, really, I've killed a lot for you. I've done a lot. And it's like, I have to go. I have to build my own life, my own family. And when Laban eventually concedes, Laban is like, Jacob is like, you know what? If you don't want to give me anything, that's fine. But give me the spotted sheep, every dark colored sheep, every spotted goat, and that will be my payment. Right? And Laban said yes. He agreed. And after agreeing, he removed all the male goats that were spotted. That's crazy work, right? This is real life, what we call 419. This is real time 419. And he does this. And when he removes all those things, he put a 3-day journey between himself and Jacob, so that there was no way. He put all the spotted lambs with his sons and put a 3-day journey between himself and Jacob. So there was no way Jacob was going to find those things anyways. So Jacob's like, I chill, I'm cool. And then he took some branches and some plain branches. He made white stripes on them and he placed those branches in all the watering troughs. So they were directly in front of the animals. And the animals came to drink. And when they drank water, they mated. When they mated, they were looking at that thing. And when it was time for their birthing, they birthed young animals that were streaked, that were spotted. How Jacob knew this is a whole other story, by the way. It's a story of mastery and skill and attention to detail and all of that. But focus here is that the animals were looking at spots and stripes and they birth offspring with spots and stripes. So, what this tells me is that change will start from beholding. What will come out of you will be a result of what you're looking at. What you will birth, what you will create, what you will say, what you will do, who you will become will largely be affected by what you're looking at. So the question then becomes, what are you looking at? What are you beholding? If beholding God can get us to be changed into the image of his glory. And I said this before in one video on the podcast, in one of those unfiltered episodes, that it is not even that we are changed. What is changed is how we see, because we already are in that image of glory. But what you see will determine who you become or who you see yourself become. And this is why social media can be quite dangerous. This is why, TikTok and Instagram addiction can do a lot of bad to your mental health and to your self esteem, confidence, all the things. Because what you see will determine how you act, how you carry yourself. Change starts from beholding. Change starts from beholding. Change always start like that's, to be honest, if this life ends right now, I've done, like, that's all I came to say today. Change starts from beholding. Change starts from beholding. You become what you see. You become what you look at. So the question then becomes, what are you looking at? The question becomes, what do you see? The question becomes, where is your focus? If animals just by looking at a striped piece of wood would birth spotted animals, how much more you? Your mind is more advanced. Your body is more responsive. Your impulses are more extended. It means that what you see, you become. So if you want to change, if your goal, especially, and this is for me, this is timely because it's literally the first live of the year. We're exactly 7 days into the year, right? It's literally the first week of the year, right? So if we're exactly 7 days into the year, is that it's the best place, it's the best spot because this is the time of the year. I mean, we know those jokes. This is the time of the year when all the gyms are full. This is the time of the year when all the candy is gone from fridges and freezers. Everyone is eating healthy. This is the time of the year when everyone is on fruits. This is the time of the year when people are praying. This is the time of the year where people are serious in quote with their spiritual lives, their work. This is the time of the year where people want to get early to work. People want to get to work at 8 a.m. If call time is 8 a.m. If it's 9, they're there at 8:50. It's the serious time. It's the point where you are like engaging change. It's the point where you're thinking, I need to change. I want to work on myself. I need to, because it's the beginning of the year. And so I'm going to ask you, if you want to change, what have you been looking at? What is informing your change? Where is your sight placed? That verse summarizes it for me. The Second Corinthians 3, verse 18. It summarizes it for me. As we behold him, we are changed into the same image from glory to glory. Your change will always start with what you're looking at. So the question I will now ask you is, what are you looking at? This change that you've planned to change, what are you looking at? Are you looking at some model on socials? Are you looking at some couple on the internet and thinking that's what my marriage will be like? Are you looking at some inspirational speaker? Are you looking at an influencer? Are you looking at what are you looking at? Where are your sights placed? Where is your focus? Where is your focus? It's just like saying you are dieting or fasting and then you're watching a mukbang video. If you're dieting and you watch a video of somebody eating, and those videos are never just short, they're never 1 minute or 2 minutes. You watch a video of someone eating for 15 minutes, they eat a lot of food. I can bet you money, you can try it. You're going to get hungry. Even if you push, you're going to end that fast earlier or you will break the diet earlier because of what you've seen. That's how powerful sight is. And this is why it's important to guard your eye gates, to be very careful the things you behold. I said in one of the streams that if news will trigger you and keep you in a place of fear and trembling, then don't watch it. That's how important it is to guard your eye gates, guard your mind, guide what you are ingesting. Be very conscious. Be very conscious of the effect of the things that you are ingesting. Be very conscious of how it affects your life, how it affects your mind, how it affects your view. So you cannot afford to decide that you want to change. You cannot afford to start the year with the headspace of I'm gonna do this. You cannot afford to say you want to change something and then engage certain things. There are things that you're just not allowed to engage. You're just not allowed to engage. If you would change this year, what books are you reading? Who are you listening to? Which celebrities do you follow? What's your social media feed like? What's your what's it called? What's your Netflix watch list like? Because it is that is why scripture tells us that it is what comes out of a man. But the problem is what comes out is largely determined by what enters, right? What comes out of a man is largely determined by what has entered that man, what has entered you, what's entering you. What are you ingesting? If beholding can determine the level of change, then what are you beholding? What are you looking at? Where are your sights placed? Where are your sights placed? How often? To bring it to our interpersonal relationships, because I always do this, right? I always do this because it's every the reason we're here and we are not, I don't know, with God in some other realm, is because we need to engage here, propagate here the gospel, relate with people from love, help as many people feel love, see love, be love. And so that's why I always bring it back to the interpersonal relationships. In your interpersonal relationships, what do you want to change? What change have you decided to make? How are you going to treat your friends this year? How are you going to treat your colleagues this year? How are you going to treat your staff this year? How are you going to treat your partner this year? Your loved ones this year? And what are you looking at to inform that change? What are you looking at? The reason that a lot of people struggle is because they are looking in the wrong place and what's the word? Oh my god, my English has gone in the middle of that. Comparing, yes, that's the word. Thank you, Holy Spirit. They're looking at other people and comparing themselves to other people. You're looking at somebody who is doing something that you are hoping to achieve, and you're comparing yourself to them. And sometimes that can be a motivator, but most times it's not. A lot of times, in fact, it is not. So the people that you're looking at, are you looking at them to learn, or are you looking at them to mope about how that thing that is happening for them is not happening for you and how you believe it should happen for you? There has to be a consciousness. There has to be a consciousness, an intentionality, an intentionality to whatever it is that you say you want to achieve, that thing that you said you want to do. There has to be an intentionality to it. And so, like Jacob did with the cattle or the sheep, like he did with the flock, like he intentionally created something for them to see so that they could birth a certain thing. You need to start asking yourself, what am I looking at? You need to be intentional about what you place in front of you, because whatever you're looking at is what you become. No matter how much you decide, I want to be an excellent person, a person of true class and integrity and this and that, if you are not building things that bring you subconsciously to that place, it's gonna take you a while. I don't want to say it will happen, because who knows, but it'll take you a while. If you want to lose weight, but you watch more videos about eating junks and unhealthy food than you watch videos about eating healthy, calorie deficit practices, uh best foods for certain body types, depending on what you watch, you will notice that if using the example of weight loss, right? If you want to lose weight and what you consume the more is healthy dieting content, exercise content, healthy habits content, you will find that by design, subconsciously, you start to do those things. And the more you see that, the easier it becomes to do those things. So you don't become just by doing. In fact, your becoming starts from seeing. What do you see? What do you see? Is why one of the most fascinating or interesting scriptures is, for me, is God calling Abraham out and saying, as far as your eyes can see, I'll give to you. Whatever you will become will start with sight, whether seeing it in the real or in the spirit. It will start with sight. It will start with sight, and then it will go to action. Because when you see it, you will then begin to do it. So, yes, you are what you do, but you are what you do, you start to do what you see. So, you become what you see. You may be what you do, but you become what you see, because becoming will start from seeing. What have you seen? What have you seen? Whether physically or in your mind's eyes, what have you seen? What are you beholding? What is the mark for you? What's on your side? What have you set your sights on? It's a very important consideration. It's something that you need to be conscious of per time. What am I looking at? What am I building? What have I set my sights on? What is the mark for me? That needs to be there. That needs to be there. Let me just where is it? Oh Jesus. Whoa. Excuse me. So, right, this reference, this is the, what version is this? This is the Berean Standard Bible. I really don't read this, right? So I don't read the Berean version. So I'm just gonna do the let me do the NIV version. I usually do NIV, NLT, TBT, NKJV. Um So yeah, it says, and we who with unveiled faces all reflect the glory of the Lord are being transformed into his image with intensifying glory. Oh, this is still the Berean. Sorry, NIV. And we all who with unveiled faces contemplate the Lord's glory are being transformed into his image with ever increasing glory, which comes from the Lord who is the Spirit. So what that tells me is, as you contemplate it, what's contemplate? Let me see. There's something that I do here, which is to just check the meaning, the dictionary meaning. To contemplate something means to look thoughtfully for a long time at it. And that's why some of the best executors, right? People that execute projects, some of the best are people who sit and think about it for a long time. When you contemplate, you look at it, you look at it, and you look at it again. And as you look at it, you're like, this is how to go about it. But that that final knowing that this is how to go about it will only come from how long you've looked at it, how long you've beheld it. There's an extent to which you can watch something. So where I live, one of the favorite sports of the residents is badminton, right? And there's a man who plays so well. And I was asking about him one day, like, he plays so well, how long has he been playing? And someone says, oh, he hasn't been playing for that long. He came to the court repeatedly, sat down and watched people play for hours repeatedly. And after watching them for hours repeatedly, he's like, all right, I want to play. And he starts to play at the level of those who have been playing there. And yes, it takes him a while to catch up to their level of expertise. But already from the initial, he's playing well in the big fields. He's not playing as an absolute beginner. That's the power of beholding. You look and look and look and keep looking until you start to do. So it is beholding, it is looking, it is contemplating that births you're doing, and it is that doing that then births you're becoming. So if your goal, this is going to be one of those short lives, but if your goal this year is to change, if your goal this year is to become a better version of yourself, if your goal this year is to attain something different from what has been before, it will start with what you've been looking at. Who are your references? Who do you watch? If you ask me anywhere, my reference is Ibukun Awosika. you know, and because of that, I watch her a lot. I watch her videos, I watch her speeches, I watch her teachings. And there are other, ministers like that I like, women in business that I like. And there's that consciousness of, this is what I will build. If you notice, to bring it to church, there are certain preachers where when they preach, you can tell that they are preaching like another person. That is what beholding does. It's a very subconscious process. They are preaching like another person, not because they meant to. Talking like another person. They are people. There are people, sometimes you see mentor mentee cases. After a while, you see that the mentee speaks like the mentor. It's not an intentional copying, it's that this mentee has watched the mentor so much that they naturally start to talk like, gesture like, sound like the mentor. That's what happens. So, whatever it is you want to do will be birthed by what you're seeing. It's seeing, doing, becoming. Your becoming starts from seeing, your doing starts from seeing, beholding. What are you looking at? Like I said, this is going to be a short life. So if there's nothing that you've gotten today, I'm just going to start rounding up in this at this point. And the main point of it is this year, as you go into the year, as you plan the things you want to do, as you write out that list of resolutions, as you write out the list of, achievements you want to make, as you plan and, outline steps, remember that your becoming starts from your beholding. Like the scripture reference, as we behold him, we are changed. We are changed from glory to glory. We are changed because we build him like a glass. Again, the story of Jacob, he literally, I'm still saying that discussion of how Jacob knew to do that is a discussion about skill and mastery, about attention to details. That's a different topic on its own. But is that he put spotted stick. It's not, it doesn't even have to be dramatic. That's how you know. For the animals, he just put spotted wood with stripes and spots in front of it. And the animals saw it while mating and gave birth to spotted calf, spotted offspring. You become what you see. It is almost non-negotiable. You become what you see. The content that you consume, you will start to act out. The content that you ingest will start to manifest in your habits and in your mindset, whether knowingly or unknowingly. So you can say that it's just for fun, it's just entertainment. I'm telling you that the more you watch it, the more it stays, and at some point you start to do it. Whatever content that is, the content that you consume will start becoming your reality. You will start to develop curiosities that you cannot track. You start to develop tendencies that you never had, and that will come from what you're looking at. Guard your eye gates, guard your eye gates. And this is not, I'm not saying spiritually, I'm saying physically, generally. Be careful what you watch, be careful what you look at, because your change, your growth, your process, your transformation will start from sight. Be careful what you're seeing at every point in time. Whether you're married or single, whether you're working or studying, whatever it is you're doing, be careful the people you look at. I had a classmate in secondary school. This boy, brilliant. Even now, he's thriving. He's one of the top MCs in the country. When we were in school, he was known for his brilliance. But this boy slept in class. This kid would sleep in class. Sleep in class. And every year he would take first position. Till I left secondary school, it was my nemesis because I always took second position. He would take first position and he would sleep in class. And the rest of us were listening. I'm a listener. I'm the person who, once I pay attention and listen, I've gotten it. Right? So I would listen and see him every time sleeping, and I would be upset. Like, why is someone like this taking first position? Until we got close and I realized that he slept in class because he never slept at night. He was studying at night. Now, if I had looked at him and looked at him and looked at him, I said that, you know what, I'm going to start sleeping, that would have been at my detriment. That's what happens when you behold without guards. When you look without guards, you start to compare yourself. You cannot help it. When you behold without guards, comparison will come into play. Even as little as watching TV. This girl is so skinny. She's so shapely. Why is her tummy that flat? And then you start to engage in setting, you start to starve yourself, it becomes an obsession. If I can look like that, it starts small. It's not be bad to look like that. And then you wear a dress one day and you're like, this dress should be tighter around the waist. And so you cinch the waist, but it doesn't quite have the look that you saw on TV. So you are like, what is she doing? You do some more studies into what she's doing. She says it with her mouth that her diet is unhealthy, but you it doesn't register because all you are building is that look that you want to achieve. So you start to starve yourself. You start to, and then something develops and develops and it gets out of hand. Before you know it, there's an eating disorder. It becomes a whole sickness. It did not start like that. I said it one day. I said anything that will become big, anything that will become major, anything that will become a grand thing never starts as a grand thing. It starts from a little thing, a little moment of yielding to your curiosity, a little moment of yielding, a little moment, a little beholding, a little beholding, a little beholding. If you look at something and it's blurry, you look long enough, your eyes will start to create shapes. You start to see something. And the moment you see something, it has registered somewhere in the heart, in the mind. Guard your eye gates. Be careful what you see. Be careful what you see. Be careful what you see. Be careful what you behold. Be careful what you ingest. If you will truly achieve change this year, you must start from beholding aright. Because nobody can take what you've seen away from you. You cannot erase sight. I've seen it. You cannot erase it. You may forget, but it will be there in your subconscious. It literally cannot be erased. Sight, the senses, the things that you feel with your senses can hardly be erased. What you see, what you hear, what you even say, what you taste, it cannot be erased. That's why the senses are there, and that's why the five senses are important to every human. Because anything that you experience with these senses cannot be erased easily. You need to start being careful what you're beholding. You need to be conscious of what you're beholding. Yeah, and that's all I came to say. Today, if you watched this, for both those that watch live and those that were watching the restream of it on the channel, thank you. And I will see you in the next one, which is tomorrow. We've resumed the lives now, so it's every day at 6:30 a.m. That I'll see you tomorrow. God bless you. Have a blessed day. Bye. Mhm.